I just had to share this beautiful view. Look at that. Is that not so beautiful? It's the fact that this world is so beautiful. I don't really have memories of my home planet, so I can only base off the beauty and the feelings that I have here, which is, I'd rather not see this planet destroyed. It seems like such a waste. Like, it makes me sad to think that this planet has to be destroyed because of the humans. Like, but what about the trees and the birds and the bees and the fishes? Like, they didn't do this. They don't deserve to be destroyed just because the humans did everything. So I'm not really sure, like, the end goal of this is, besides possibly saving enough people and leaving this planet before destruction. But I truly hope that we can save the whole planet, not just the people. Although I understand that Mother Earth does need to go through a cleansing state, which is pretty destructive. Some of the lava to burn away all this plastic and all this metal, So not the earthquake and shake and break some of these buildings down, because these buildings aren't going to be here when we're not here, so they shouldn't be here at all. And all our buildings should be biodegradable, so that way when we go away or when humans go, that the buildings can break down, or Mother Nature could take back the building, and grow along the clay building that we lived in, instead of not being able to grow along the concrete buildings we lived in. So I don't know. Sometimes I take in the beauty of the planet and I realize, man, I want to save it. And there's many beautiful people on here. There's many beautiful souls. I've met so many beautiful souls. People that just don't do anything but right to me. There's nothing but love. Even some of the homeless people, I have good relationships with a lot of them. They bring me stuff and I bring them stuff. And I used to feed some of them years ago, 2-3 years ago, and they still bring me stuff. And then I'd be like, what's this for? They'd be like, yeah, you remember, you used to give me Taco Bell. And I was like, that's years ago. He was like, yeah, man, it doesn't matter. You used to look out for us, so we're going to look out for you. Whatever you need. Like, good show. Y'all homeless, but y'all willing to give me the shirt off y'all back. Like, I love shit like that. And so it's people like that that make me want to just save this world. And if I got to sacrifice my vices, my alcohol, my weed, I gotta stay away from social media, whatever I gotta do to save the world, because it's beautiful and I want to preserve that beauty. I also believe that we're not even seeing the true potential of the world, and that it was much more beautiful. Well, I know it was much more beautiful because I've had visions of my past lives. The trees were really giant. There were giant trees. They were really giant. It seemed like wherever I was in this past life, it was a whole forest. It seemed like a redwood forest. I'm not 100% sure, but the trees were so tall that they literally blocked the sun. Not completely out, but it shaded the whole area. At least in this one part of the forest me and these people were in. And I remember just looking up in awe at the fact that I could only see the lights from the sun, and the actual ground kind of looked like the ocean floor because the trees were so tall and dense, and that's how the light was refracting. And so I know the potential of this place is so beautiful. Sometimes when I'm walking these streets, I can tell that this whole area I'm walking through was a forest. I mean, obviously, most of the earth would be, but like, I can see the cracks in the ground where the tree roots are trying to break free. There's this one apartment complex I live in, and like the whole apartment complex just has redwoods all around it. And I could see that this whole, like, where every house was and all the roads where we drive, all of that was once redwoods. And some of them had to be cut down to make our pathways. And then the other ones that they left alive for decoration, they paved over the ground and their roots are suffocating, and they're trying their best to break free. So they can't get as tall as they could be. They can't get as much nutrients. So I want to see the world, I want to see Earth at her full potential. The only thing that saddens me about that is in order for that to happen, there does need to be destruction. And there will be destruction because she wants the same thing. She doesn't want this concrete on her. She doesn't want these concrete buildings on her. She doesn't want to be locked down like that, suffering. All this metal and all this doesn't need to be here. We could make all our roads out of something more cohesive with the earth. I don't think none of this is just all because of us. Damn. Over there, across that bridge where you seen the water at, and I'm pretty sure that dam is holding back hella water that used to water this whole area, this whole little forest area. So now these trees and plants have to suffer because of us, because of humans. Y'all, the collective has to say no. The collective has to disagree with this way of living. It's the collective that has to see that we can't live in this way. We're dominating nature. I don't like the idea of dominion. I like companionship. I like harmony. We should be walking the earth with the animals. We don't need to rule over them and dictate them. I know we're more sentient than them, so yes, if we do command, they should listen. But dominion just sounds like dominion over my wife. What I say goes and she better just listen, you know? It doesn't sound like companionship, like friends working together. Dominion means I dominate over you, or I have authority over you. I'm the boss. Which, yeah, we should, but at the same time, not like a dictator. Like a guide. In order to guide humanity, in order to guide all of life towards eternal life or everlasting life. Some of you probably wouldn't know the difference between the two, but there is a difference, but it doesn't matter. It's best you achieve one of those than that second death they talk about. You know, a lot of you think that we're soul beings and there's no way for us to perish or die. That's not entirely so from what I've learned. So some of you need to really, really get right. But you won't. You won't follow the right people. You follow everybody that boosts your ego. And that's so deadly and so dangerous. So dangerous. Some of you gods and goddesses, you're going to realize that you was nothing more than a mere mortal. And that there were things you were supposed to do as a mere mortal to ascend to be a god, but you didn't do it. And you let your ego trap you down here. And so you will perish like a mortal. And it's going to be melanated and non-melanated beings, both suffering because they weren't able to open their heart chakra. Without opening your heart chakra, you're not going to be able to vibrate at 144,000 because you're not going to be able to love each other because you're going to be like, they're non-melanated, they don't deserve to be on this planet. And you're going to be like, well, they're melanated, they're not human. And it's like, well, how about both of you stay down here on Earth and just burn away? Neither one of you come to heaven, because we don't need none of that. Or the fifth dimension, however you want to word it. You're not getting there without love. You will not transcend this planet without love. You will not ascend with this planet without love. People want to say love's not the answer, that we got to conquer our enemies. We got to kick the non-melanated people off the planet, okay? Go ahead and see where that leads you. I'm pretty sure I made a video on this, but it's always nice to make videos on. I totally forgot that feather was in my hair. I found a feather on the ground and it was windy and I didn't have nowhere else to put it. So I put it in my hair. It's alright, it seems fine. Anyway. Don't be thinking nasty. It's rice water. So I feed my rice water to my plants. So I took those cannabis leaves. I took some banana peels and I had some apple cores. I boiled all that up, and now I'm gonna let it sit out here for a few days, and then I'll feed that to my plants. And I took the rest of the material and threw it in the compost. I gotta get some toilet paper rolls I'll put on top of this. I got some brown paper and some more dirt. You should experiment with making your own nutrients for your food and your plants, or for your plants, if you grow food. let's just say that you're not able to get nutrients because the stores are shut down for whatever reason, or you just can't afford it, or there's a shortage. You're gonna want to be able to feed your plants to make sure that you survive. Now, I was told you should learn to feed your plants, take care of your plants like your ancestors did. Who were gardening and tilling the land before there were any stores to buy fertilizer. Right. What were your ancestors doing that wasn't destroying the topsoil? Composting, maybe? You think your ancestors had a landfill? Or did they just take their fruits and vegetable scrappings and put them back in the dirt? Some things you just gotta simplify. It's not as complex as they make it seem. They make things complex so it can be confusing. So that way you can't think. Or you overthink. And you miss what's right in your face. It's kind of like I'm gonna take all these herbs and I'm gonna break them down and make an Advil. Or you could have just used the herb. Because when you concentrated it into the Advil, you took out certain properties and certain things. Get it? So we think that because Advil is complex, that it should be better than the herb. But it's not. You'll think it's too simple to just take the herb to cure your headache or to drink water and cure your headache because you have this complex Advil that this super smart scientist made in a... No. That's where you overthinking and overdoing things. You were fine when you were chewing on the sugar cane. But when you concentrated the sugar cane down into brown sugar, you were actually still okay. But then you took it a step further and you bleached it. Then you went all out the window. And now we got a drug. Make things simple. A simple life is a happy life. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. Bodies laying all over the floor. Anyways, so it's 3 a.m. in the morning. I just went to sleep for like 2 hours or 3 hours or something. It's funny, when you start to fast and you start to cleanse out your body, you have a lot of energy. Like, you don't really need to sleep that much. I like it when I need to do things. When I don't really have much to do, which I shouldn't really not have much to do, but sometimes when you're trying to just get through like a few days of fasting and then you have all this energy and you can't sleep, it's just like, but when you have things to do, it's like, cool. Anyways, continuing my talk about cannabis. So I want to use cannabis the right way it's supposed to be used. It's supposed to be used as a medicine, not just as a recreational drug. So I don't think it's wrong to smoke cannabis in moderation. But we should also use cannabis for what it's truly for, as a medicine. And a lot of growers, they'll grow cannabis and they'll trim cannabis, which is you cut the leaves off of it. And normally they'll just throw that away. Few people will compost it. But I'm learning that other people use the leaves. There's a lot of nutrients and fiber and complex proteins and other things inside the leaves of cannabis. And so, juice, and now I'm about to attempt to dry it and make it into a powder for other juices and teas. It's funny, I always wanted an apothecary. I always thought those were pretty dope, but I really didn't know much about plant medicine besides cannabis. But now I really want to learn, and I want to learn to use all types of different plants and herbs as medicines, turning them into powders to make different type of medicines and teas, turning them into tinctures, creams, whatever else you could do to heal the body, to heal the mind, to heal the soul. Got this nice green cannabis juice, water. I took some of them leaves, dehydrated them in the oven, and made a powder. That little light thing's cool. Anyway, I took some of the stems and made a powder. I'm not sure exactly why. This was all very intuitively. Sometimes I try to check out and just do things without even thinking. Just if my mind's like, do it, I'm just on it. So I'll figure out what these uses are for. So I made a green juice. This is just cannabis leaves. And I turned some of the stems into a powder. And I turned some of the leaves into a powder. Go back to using Mary Jane as a medicine like she was supposed to be used. Not just as a recreational drug, you know? Not exactly sure what I'll end up doing with it, but I bet you it has a bunch of benefits that we normally would just miss out on. Use your lentil water to water your plants.